Okay, I'm going to give you a brief overview of the digestive system. This image here shows a great summary of the organs involved and also their orientation in the body. This image here gives you the same orientation, but gives you a little bit more description for some of these areas. So it's important to have a general sense of what's occurring where and what the necessary functions are of some of these essential organs. Now, why do we consume food? Well, we consume food to gain energy. And a healthy diet contains more carbohydrates than fats. It also contains lots of proteins. You may remember from macromolecules, carbohydrates are important for storage of energy, but also provide energy, quicker energy that can be that simple monosaccharides such as sugars. Proteins make up much of the structure of cells and also can speed up chemical reactions in the form of enzymes. Lipids are for long-term storage of energy. Here's the food pyramid indicating items at the top we should be consuming less of, items at the bottom we should be consuming more of, but you can see the foundation is based in daily exercise and weight control for a healthy lifestyle. Continuing on, oftentimes we hear in the news about someone being obese or the obesity epidemic and the percentage of people being obese. Well, how is that determined? It's determined through the body mass index, and that's abbreviated BMI. In short, what it does is it compares someone's weight to someone's height. So you could kind of get an idea where you may fall for your BMI based on your weight in pounds and your height here. And again, both metrics in US customary are provided here. So you're welcome to pause the video and see where you fall in this area. Continuing on, essential substances for growth. So we do consume food, but we have some essential substances for growth. So many vertebrates are unable to manufacture one or more of the 20 amino acids needed to make proteins. So while there's only 20 total, humans are unable to synthesize 8 of those 20. There's a couple listed here. Leucine, lysine, phenylalanine, valine are essential because those must be obtained through the food, meaning our body cannot manufacture these. In addition, we cannot synthesize certain polyunsaturated fats, and we also need to be consuming trace elements. So a trace element, there's a couple listed here, they are required in small amounts. Nothing that we need in large amounts, but they are essential. So iodine, zinc, manganese are just a couple examples here of trace elements that are important for our body to function properly. Lastly, vitamins, essential organic substances required also in small amounts. And humans require at least 13 different vitamins. Vitamin C, or absorbic acid, if not obtained in the diet, the disease scurvy will develop. So it just gives you an idea of some of the importance of some of these components that are essential for growth and may not be needed in large amounts, but are needed at least in some way. Continuing on, our digestive system function to acquire nutrients, we have the ability to break down substances here. Hydrolysis, catabolism here. What's happening here is large molecules are being broken down into small ones. Water is being consumed in this. This is releasing energy. Hydrolysis, using water to lyse or break apart molecules. This releases energy, typically involves oxidation reactions, and glycolysis would be an example. So taking our complex molecule here and breaking it down into simpler ones. Now, if there's a way to break things apart, so we need to put things together. Anabolism here. Using raw materials to synthesize essential components. Dehydration synthesis is the process here. Small molecules are assembled into large ones and water is produced. Dehydration and water is being lost here. It uses energy to construct new bonds and typically involves reduction reactions. Putting it all together here, catabolism and our anabolic reactions here. Here's our glucose. Here we have our 2 different pathways. So just to remember, we're catalyzing something here. We're breaking it apart. And here we are putting things together. So if there's a way to put things together, there's also a way to break things apart. And here we're seeing our carbohydrates or sugars being broken down to glucose. Glucose can be assembled into starch, which is a complex glucose chain of molecules. See the same thing here with fats being broken down, proteins being broken down to amino acids. We see citric acid cycle. We see fatty acids being assembled into more complex fats and phospholipids. So as you can see, it's a very complex system that our body has. To simplify it a little bit more, there's mechanical and chemical digestion. Mechanical and chemical digestion of food takes place in many steps, beginning in the mouth and ending in the rectum. And this provides another quick summary of where mechanical and chemical digestion occurs in the different regions of the body. So good to kind of review that and have an idea of what's being broken down where. In digestion, handles each nutrient differently. So there's not just one pathway we can run all nutrients through. We have enzymatic hydrolysis, again, taking our more complex molecules and breaking them down. We see proteins into amino acids, carbohydrates into monosaccharides, nucleic acid into nucleic bases, lipids ultimately into fatty acids. They can be reabsorbed, and we see the liver playing a very important role here. We have the lymphatic system here with blood, fiber, and cellulose being broken down into feces. Large molecules are digested before absorption occurs, so we need to break them apart before we can absorb them in the body. They can be absorbed, some can be absorbed without processing, but many require special transport for this to occur. In digestion, the breaking of molecular bonds into large organic molecules, carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids are our main macromolecules. A process called hydrolysis. It's divided into target classes. So looking here, we see proteases, amylase, nuclease, lipase. All of these are enzymes breaking things down. Nuclease breaks down nucleic acids, amylase breaks down starch or carbohydrates, protease breaks down proteins, lipase breaks down fats for lipids. So we can see an example also here of what's occurring in the esophagus, the stomach, the liver, the pancreas, and the small intestine. See, that pancreas, as you may not be familiar with, does have a lot of important enzymes to be released there. Not as many in the stomach as some people may think. Pancreas is very important for that, for releasing enzymes. Lastly, here's our general digestive system overview. A couple key points that you should be familiar with: the mouth, the pharynx, the esophagus, the stomach, the small intestine, the large intestine, and the rectum. How are each of these involved in the alimentary canal, and what accessory organs are doing, and how they're important for a normal functioning digestive system.